Here is a set of Vtech 5.8 GHz cordless telephones. This particular system is the model 6773. Some of them are 6772, some of them are i6763. I don't know, I can't tell a difference. I got some new batteries for these today because the box of cordless phone batteries has gone missing, which to date is the only thing I can think of that's gone missing during the move. So really can't complain. If a box of consumables goes missing, then just buy new ones. It's not really a big deal. Anyways, so I got some new batteries for these, and I've got some video requests over the years to talk about some of the childhood stories and so forth about items in my various collections. So figured I'd talk about these because these are really significant in my cordless phone fascination. So let's go back to 2009, I think it was, very late 2000. We had just moved, and we previously had at the old house the Vtech 5881. And we had that Vtech 5881 for a long time at the old house. Well, I'm calling it the old house, but now they're both the old house to me. But the first house that we lived in the 2000s, we had the phone there, the 58. I guess it was the 5881 because there was no, because there was the answering machine. So it was the 5881. Anyways, so we had that phone, and the buttons were really difficult to press towards the end. I don't know what the problem was. It probably was just dirty. Anyway, so we moved the 5881 to the new house when we moved, and this is very late 2000s era. And I was at the time using a Uniden XCA650, which my uncle gave me back when he bought these 6773 telephones. And I used that XCA650 all the time. And then when he replaced these phones, he gave me these. So in, I don't know, I think it was 2009, if not 2010, my grandmother had bought us, and it was really mostly for me, a set of phones to replace the 5881, which was the Uniden 1580. There was an, I don't know what caused this, but there was a transition when we moved. The parents stopped using the landline phone around the time that we moved, or very, very shortly thereafter. I don't know what the cause of it was, but they just stopped using it almost exclusively around that time, late 2000s, early 2010s. So when the Uniden 1580 went in place, it really was mostly for me. I always used the landline phone. So I had that for a couple of years, and then the 5881 was still in the house, but it was kind of just tucked in the corner, and then one day it disappeared, and to this day I have no idea where it went or what became of it. I can only imagine it just got thrown out, I guess. And ever since then, when that happened, I kind of wanted another one. And so a couple years go by, we get into 2011, maybe 2012, very early 2000s. I was in high school, and I started to get really interested in cordless phones. And naturally, I wanted to have the 5881 again, because that was the set that I grew up with in conjunction with the XCA 650. And I was having a hard time getting one for whatever reason. I think the mother didn't want me buying any cordless phones, so I was having a hard time getting one. And so my uncle ended up getting a new set of phones. He got the 1580 as well, and so he gave me his set of 6773s. It's kind of funny how he gave me the XA 650 and he gave me these. So he really was quite significant in developing my fascination with cordless phones. So he gave me these, and I had this system, and it was phenomenal to me at the time because these were, in a lot of ways, very similar to the 5881. And in the interim, until I got a 5881, I thought these are really neat because these reminded me of the 5881 very, very much. And I use these things all the time, constantly. I thought they were great phones. The back of it looks very similar to the 5881 with the speaker with the V, and the antenna was similar, and the glowing speaker button. And so there was a bunch of similarities that reminded me of the 5881. And so I used these extensively, and then eventually a couple of years later I ended up buying the 5881 myself, and the rest is history, as I bought hundreds of other ones that I don't need but was looking for whatever reason. And so I use these a lot. I have a ton of memories of using these phones when I was in high school. It's hours and hours talking on these phones, and so they're very nostalgic to me, but at the same time they're also just technically really good phones. The speakerphone on these is absolutely phenomenal. I would go as far as to say I think this is the best handset speakerphone I've ever used. The volume is there, the clarity is there, the pickup is phenomenal. It's great. It's a great speakerphone. And the coverage is decent too. It works pretty well outside. There's really nothing other than the speakerphone that's super noteworthy about these phones, but I like the speakerphone, so I kind of like these for that reason. But anyways, so that's some of the backstory of these. It takes me back to, it's crazy to think it was 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago even. Back to when I was in high school, I remember I would talk to my grandfather on the phone all the time. I still do. But he used to help me with my math homework. And so we would be on the phone for a couple of hours dealing with it. And I would usually go to these phones because the speakerphone was great. And I remember talking outside by the water on these phones all the time. A lot of good times with these phones. So I think it's only fitting that this should be one of the first systems that I install and use here at this house. And of course I'll also install the 5881 soon. I'll put it in the kitchen like it was at the original house. Okay, I'm getting tired here. Anyway, so that's it. Just a little brief conversation about the 6773s. As is the case with a lot of other items, I'm pretty excited to use phones here at this house because they can be everywhere in all the rooms, not just crammed into two. So be able to have a much better phone setup here as well, among much better other things too.